Hey y'all, we are back with a double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow with so many championship implications, rivalries, and also very petty people doing very petty things. This is Steph and Cat Talk Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs, and the room is stutters. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape. Every one of us, I was kinda late, so I just made it up the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Lady.
Hey y'all, like I said earlier, this is a double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk Wow, brought to you by the Hardy Wrestling Podcast and In Cat We Trust. Of course, I'm your girl, Stephanie Hardy, host and creator of this fabulous platform, as well as writer for Daily DDT and color commentator featured on the Belladonna Division, Battle Club Pro, Black Girl Magic 2022, and Spartan Wrestling. But of course, I am not alone. I am here with the fabulous creator of In Cat We Trust, contributing writer for Daily DDT, as well as an author in her own right and creator of the Women of Color in Wrestling panel and a guest of my own panel, which will be taking place next month down here in Birmingham, Alabama at the African American Comic Expo. She is Katrina Blake. How are you, Kat?
I'm okay. I'm tired. It's been a crazy, very busy. I feel like I've been going nonstop. It feels, but I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here as well. So, before we start with the show officially, there is something that deserves to be celebrated and something that I believe, Katrina, you are a part of as well, since we've been doing this show together. The Hardy Wrestling Podcast is, basically one half of this show. And this podcast started 4 years ago, by just me, where I was just talking about everything I loved in wrestling and also all the news and gossip that we see, along with various recaps of shows that I have seen, in and out throughout the weeks for the past 4 years. And I've been really blessed in that area to talk about it and talk about wrestling in other arenas too, and just be blessed to get as far as I've gotten. So, with that in mind, and with the growth of this show, and also HWP Extra, which is my show that is centered on just specific moments in wrestling or specific people, HWP's YouTube page has now gotten to 300 subscribers as of today. So I believe that is worth applause and celebration. And Katrina, I want to thank you for coming on as a part of this show, combining your show with mine so we can continue to talk about these ladies. And I am definitely a believer that this is a part of the success of the whole of HWP. So I am just really happy and grateful that we have reached this point. And thank all of you for watching and supporting everything that this has birthed, and this show and so many other of my things that I've had going on as well, and supporting Katrina as well, and all of the above. So, yeah, it's really great. 300 subscribers really surprised me today, but I am just really happy. Katrina, do you have anything you want to add since you're one half of this show?
Oh no, that's 300 subscribers. Is super awesome. Congrats on that
Thank you.
super awesome achievement. And I have been very grateful and glad to have a part of my own channel attached to yours with this platform, this show. And so yeah, congratulations. It's very well deserved.
Thank you so much. It's really like I'm still in shock about it, but I'm still trying to celebrate it while also still trying to get stuff done. So it's just been really funny because I had work today. So seeing that while also working and then coming here, coming home to also do this, it's just kind of like, Yeah, I still got stuff to do, but I'm pretty sure once the smoke clears, I'll be able to fully bask in that. So, yeah, 300 subscribers. How amazing is that? May we continue to push on and go to 500 or 1,000 or all of the above. So, yeah, thank all of you for supporting HWP as well as Steph and Cat Talk Wow as we go on this journey. And thank you to Eric in the comments on YouTube for already being posted up before we even start. Very consistent support on your end, talking about everything he's excited about from WoW that took place on last weekend and the weekend before. So yeah, it's just really exciting stuff. So we're going to dive into two episodes. The first one being A Long Road Back, which took place 2 weeks ago, and the other one involving contracts and I believe chaos was it the title of it? So, yeah, it's going to be really interesting. So, the very first episode that we're going to discuss started with David McLean introducing Santana Garrett, who is, of course, one half of the All American Girls 2.0 with Americana. And Santana grabbed a microphone and she had a lot to say. And David mentioned, of course, how she came to assist Americana after she was dealing with grits and glam in the form of Jesse Jones and Amber O'Neill, and just backing her up in that way. But she said that she had a message for Abilene Maverick. And Santana said, I can honestly say that when I left WoW years ago, I didn't know if I would be back. With all of the memories made with my father, TNT Kenny G, who was also a wrestler in the past, and rest in peace to him, with experiencing his loss, I almost lost myself. And you can tell that her emotions got the better of her as she was talking about it. She was getting choked up. And then she said, now, initially, I did come back to stop the bullying, but I realized I've got a greater purpose. And then the crowd starts yelling for her and being her moral support. And she says, I came here to give these girls the leader they deserve. So, with that, I'm going to do it for the girls. I'm going to do it for myself, but I'm going to do it for my dad. So, David, I would love nothing more than a chance at the WoW World Championship. And David seemed really cool about the idea, but of course, Abilene Maverick came and interrupted things and said, hold it, hold it, hold it. Santana, girly pop, you don't have to wait for David's permission because I'm right here. See, you see how Abilene has all this energy for everybody else except the beast? We gonna get to that a little bit later. Um, Santana was like, okay, and then David said, hold on, Santana, this is gonna be a sanction match. And then Abilene said, no, no, David, I'm talking to Santana. I heard you won a championship match, and you know what, Santana, you don't have to wait a couple of weeks because David is gonna give it to you tonight. Why? Because your daddy's looking down on you, and he's so proud, right? Oh, boo hoo, Santana. You know what? You're going to get your championship match tonight. And she was basically vowing that she was going to embarrass her. So that is going to be the main event of this episode. So, Katrina, seeing as you are Abilene Maverick's enemy number one, how did you feel about what she had to say and also about Santana wanting to win the title and be the example in the locker room and doing it for the memory of her father?
So first with Santana, I appreciate the sentiment of wanting to do it for her dad, uh, and kind of doing it in that memory, and that's always a good thing. And I know she's been like in the locker room before. I'm also kind of, so I feel like I'm a bit impartial to like when you're saying you're doing something for the locker room, but you were gone for a stretch, because then it's like I don't know. It's like I understand like veteran status in regards to you're a vet in wrestling, and so that part I understand. But it's also like, but if you were gone for a long period of time, would you be the person that I would necessarily, not that I would be rude in the locker room if I was wrestling, I would never be rude. But if I was somebody who was there, and I'm like, but you weren't here this whole time. I don't know if that's I'm gonna be look. I will be respectful, but I don't know if you're gonna be the person I'm gonna go to you. You know what I mean? So I feel like kind of impartial in that regard. Just like I'm like, I get what you're saying, but also I can see if this might look funny to some of the other girls in the locker room that you're saying that you want to be the person to basically like be the locker room leader if you and this will help you do that, whatever. With that being said, I do think anybody would be better respected Abilene, and so like I'm like, girl, I can respect the sentiment. Abilene, it's just audacity to be sitting here talking all this stuff when, like, girl, you weren't in locker room at all. Like at any, you weren't there, and you became champion. So it's like, that's not, if you're gonna call the call the pot black, whatever. Like, I can't think of the saying right now correctly, but you know the one with the pot and the kettle.
Yeah,
Point
you're
is,
the pot
you
calling the kettle black. Isn't that the pot
yes,
calling the
it
kettle
was
black?
not
Yeah.
coming out the right way I wanted it to come out. But yes, you are literally, girl, stop. Like, how are you gonna get mad? And that's exactly what happened. Basically, you came in like surprise, got a title, and it was pure nonsense ever since. Get real. And so Abilene, please, anybody, anyone is better than Abilene as the current WoW champion. I want somebody to knock her off so bad. I am like, Penelope, whoever, somebody, just take the title from her. But I can understand kind of us. I feel a bit split with Santana only because I understand what she's saying, but I don't know if everybody will look at it that way because you haven't really necessarily been here, and it's kind of a weird thing, you know. That's all. But I understand. I appreciated her sentiment with regard to that.
Yeah, and though, you bring up a good point because, they have mentioned a lot of times that Santana is a WoW OG and she's been a champion before. It would be cool to see her in a current run as champion because she actually has the good attitude of what a champion could be, and because, she just has that fighting spirit about her. And her doing it for her father and them showing, of course, that clip of him watching her wrestle from the past iteration of WoW, with that emotional thing. Like, that really would have been amazing, in the grand scheme of it, because that is a very deep loss. Like, I've never been through it personally, but I've seen people go through it, and it is not the best thing at all. And it takes people a lot of time to really, like, bounce back from something like that. So the idea that she would even come back to wrestling as a whole, let's more even wow, after that happening, it's just really strong and really, admirable on her part. And I just loved, her passion with wanting to do it because, the locker room does deserve like a champion that they could possibly respect in her. But then you also have Abilene, who was just, kind of in and out. And like you said, who has not been fully present in the locker room the same way that you said that Santana has neither. So they kind of both have that sort of inconsistency there, but for two completely different reasons, I'm sure. But yeah, I do sort of feel the same way that you feel in the sense that I want Abilene to be knocked off somehow because she's just so crafty and so opportunistic and just it's just so aggravating. So I totally get how you feel, and I loved Santana, just stepping up to the plate here. I was really excited, and like I said before, I've loved Santana as a wrestler since the Mae Young Classic. That was the first time I ever saw her, at the very first one. So if not the first one, it was probably the second one. I can't remember because it's been so long ago. But, it was just, she's always been one of my favorites to watch. So to see her back here in this show and, propositioning herself for a title was just really cool. So after this promo, and of course, after it was made official that that was going to be the main event match, we moved to match number one, which was a tag team match between Rebel Haze and Fury, the Heavy Metal Sisters 2.0, versus Crystal Waters and Sandy Shore, Spring Break 24/7, with the referee being Ben Scheinberg. Now, this was unexpected because when it comes to Spring Break 24/7, we sort of see them like off and on during this season because, of course, we're still in the second season of this form of WoW. So we sort of see them off and on a lot, and we don't really see them as consistent as we see a lot of other tag teams. But this was still a cool match nonetheless. Rebel and Sandy wound up starting off the match with a lockup, and then Rebel locked up Sandy's waist, but then Sandy was breaking out and twisting up on Rebel's arm, kind of getting her submission stuff on with her arm and her wrist and stuff. And then Sandy was able to battle back with a shoulder tackle and an arm drag and a shoulder lock. So in this match, this was sort of like a showcase of Sandy's skills, and not just Crystal Waters, because we do see a lot of Crystal in these tag team matches, but we rarely get to see Sandy Shore show off a whole lot. And she did that in the first part of the match. But of course, Rebel was fighting back, and she was sort of just throwing herself into Sandy Shore like a wrecking ball. And that's something that I do tend to love in some of my women's wrestling, is when a woman has like kind of just throws caution to the wind and just thrusts her whole body into somebody. Like, I just love that because we see the men do it so much. So whenever the women do it, it's just like, yes. Like, destroy them with yourself. Like, it's just so amazing. And the Heavy Metal Sisters were actually having a little bit better chemistry in this go round, because they actually hit a double clothesline to Sandy Shore. And then once Crystal was able to tag in, she got a little bit of offense in, but then the match ended when Crystal hit Sandy by accident, and then Fury hit her finisher, the Flight of Fury, to win the match. So the Heavy Metal Sisters 2.0 turned out to be the winners here. And of course, they showed more of their chemistry building up, as a newer team. So it was really great in that aspect. So, Katrina, how did you feel about their victory and how they operated as a team up against Spring Break 24/7?
As you said, it was nice to kind of see for once both women of Spring Break 24/7 in the match. We do usually see one, not the other too much, so it was nice. I was like, all right, okay, cool, cool, cool. Maybe they can do that more going forward to have both of them kind of get their time in there. But I thought, the Heavy Metal Sisters 2.0, I think they did really well. I like that. I feel like every week, every time we see them, they're getting better as a unit, getting better as a group. Um, and so I wasn't surprised with the win. It's weird because like I feel like the Spring Break 24/7, they've been a team longer than this new version of the Heavy Metal Sisters. So it's kind of weird that they still haven't gotten themselves in a good sync that they can go against a team that kind of just got together, more opposed to when they got together. And so that's always like, okay, well, maybe I need to figure out what's working for the two of you so there's no miscommunication, because the Heavy Metal Sisters 2.0, I feel like they moved with a lot better like cohesion. I felt like they were definitely more in sync with each other, more in tune with their moves as a group. And that says good for them for the chemistry purposes of it. But then it's like, okay, Spring Break, what do you need to do to make sure this doesn't happen when you have a miscommunication? Because clearly it was a miscommunication, and that kind of made it fall apart at the end of the match. But I thought it was a good match. Either way, I do think it was a very, you had like two girls who were supposed to be a sunny disposition, if you will, and then you have two girls who's more in the middle side of things, maybe more. I don't want to say darker, it's not necessarily means it's darker, but aesthetically wise it may be. And so like it was a really good different like clash style, but I think it was still a good match overall.
Yeah, it was a good match overall. And you bring up an excellent point in the fact that Spring Break 24/7 is, a longer tenure team than this version of the Heavy Metal Sisters, because the Heavy Metal Sisters, when we first saw them, were three women. It was Fury, Mesmeriah, and wow, Jesus, my brain.
Sarah the Rebel.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but her
Oh,
wow
Razor.
name, Razor.
Razor.
Yes, there we go. Razor. So it was like three women, and it was more of a faction than like and more of a group than it was really a tag team, even though they would trade off, in tag team action. And, Fury sort of set off at first to be on her own a little bit and have more of a solo act. So the idea that she would embrace Rebel in this way was kind of, a change for me, because at first it seemed like she wanted to be on her own when this season started. But it looks like since her and Rebel have, these similarities in terms of their hard rock lifestyle, it seems like they want, to want to explore more of their partnership. And it seems like they are a little bit more locked in now than they have been in the past. And Spring Break is just kind of like, yeah, look at us, we're having fun, but what are you doing in the ring? Like, it's like their stuff in ring is pretty good, but it doesn't translate further into a match to the point to where it would connect into a victory or connect in something where you're still staying on your opponent to the point to where they could win or they could like defeat a team. And it's just really unfortunate because they're really talented. So yeah, it's really crazy how it's, taking place in that way, but hopefully, they can turn it around. But, the heavy metal sisters are feeling a groove to make a music pun. So, yeah, they were the winners of that tag team match. And of course, we move into our second match, which was a very angry triple threat match between Exiles members Genesis, Exodus, and Ice Cold, a triple threat match between these three women who once considered themselves sisters and now they're fighting because sisters fight. But then they usually make up. I don't know if these girls are going to make up, but they had a triple threat match. And of course, the referee was Paige Principali. So this was very intense. It broke my heart because I remember when we first saw them and how they came and how they were really like ready to sort of run roughshod over WoW, and now to see them splintered off, it's just kind of like, God, what the heck is going on? But yeah, Genesis started the match and she started off all the way wrong. With bossing Exodus around. And so Exodus and Ice Cold decided to give double kicks and double elbows to Genesis and then like do a double cover, but then of course that was a 2 count. And I thought that was a really funny way of expressing who is really the root of all of their problems. It really is Genesis. And I did mention at one point that I felt like they should jump Genesis because she was always the one bossing them around and abusing them verbally, but she didn't agree with that on social media, on Instagram. But, I was just like, y'all just need to jump her, just get it out the way. But moving on with the rest of the match, there were times where Exodus and Ice Cold, of course, worked together, but you saw a lot of their differing fighting styles on display because you have Ice Cold, who's more of a traditional wrestler in a sense, but then you also have Genesis and Exodus, who come from that MMA background with all of them, as you can see in that picture, trying to choke each other out. Um, like it was very hard hitting with so many kicks and even so many submissions. There was a point where Ice Cold even hit an impressive DDT leg drop to Exodus, and then she missed a leg drop to Exodus, and Exodus choked out Ice Cold at one point, but then Genesis choked her, and it was just a lot of different holds and pins going on. So this was a very high intensity match, but the match wound up coming to crazy conclusion when Genesis actually broke up a pin attempt by Exodus after she took advantage of Ice Cold. And then Genesis kicked Exodus out of the ring and then pinned a knocked out Ice Cold. And she won, solidifying herself as the leader or the rightful leader of Ice Cold. And then she cut a promo afterward saying, if it wasn't clear before, it's crystal clear now. I don't need anyone to be a champion here. The true leader and the only one who would do whatever it takes to win has always been me. Ice Cold, you've been exiled. And it low key sounds like she's throwing Ice Cold out of exile indefinitely, but then she didn't mention anything about Exodus still being in the group either. So it's just kind of like, so you think Exodus is just supposed to be okay with you being her leader? But, I'll continue my thoughts later. Katrina, how did you feel about this crazy triple threat match? And what Genesis had to say after?
I get it. I get in regards to everything she's been saying recently, leading up to the discord between them. There was a lot she had to say, a lot she had to say with everything, and so the fact that it led up to them being a triple threat match, where clearly there was a lot of disagreements. Her winning it and then kind of saying, well, this is clearly I'm the one that should have been charged anyway. It's kind of right online, in line with what she has been saying the last few weeks. It's in line with what was said during the interview. She's been on it in regards to how she feels things should be run. I thought it was still a really good match. I thought it was really hard hitting, and I thought this was a good way to showcase the three of why they were one of the if one of at one point one of the most dominant teams in WoW, and one of the most dominant trios. And I don't know if that means that these girls just might need somebody to come back and maybe put things in line, hint hint, to see if they can kind of get it together and not do all of what's happening. But this win probably just cements how she was feeling anyway. And so you have that situation. And to be fair, why I do think at some point Ice Cold definitely got into the fold correctly in Exile. I do think she figured it out. I feel like it's kind of like when you have a job and the people that go first are the ones that came last. And I feel like that's kind of one of those situations where she's like, well, you were the one that came last. So let's get rid of you and see if things will go now the way I needed to go first. And then maybe she'll get on more close to you know, doing something with Exodus if you feel like it's not kind of in line. But I feel like Ice Cold right now is just a scapegoat because she's the last one to join the group in this new version of Exile.
Yeah, it probably was easy for her to sort of, single her out in that way because she was the last one to become a part of Exile in that way. And you do bring up an excellent point that if it is just going to be Genesis and Exodus, that maybe of a certain Malia Hosaka would come back to bring their original mission, to the forefront so they can just so she can refocus them. But I wonder if Genesis would even respect anything that Malia Hosaka would have to say if she did come back, because she is so headstrong and wanting to be, the A+ person and in front all the time. Like it's just really frustrating to see her, be the root and the cause of all this, but yet, seeming to blame everybody else for it. It's just really frustrating, which is why I can't imagine that Exodus would just go back to that level of treatment. Like it's weird. Like I really would just prefer if they just all went their separate ways and then just, became singles wrestlers and Exile is just done. As opposed to Genesis just solidifying herself as the leader of a fracturing group and then you're throwing people out. Like that's just I just that's just how I feel about it. Because Genesis has made it abundantly clear that she wants to be on her own. So if you want to be on your own so bad, then do it. Let's see how you would actually survive if you were on your own. Not saying she can't because she has proven that she could fight on her own, but then she was also looking for somebody to help her out too. So it's just kind of like you can't, you know, be a singles person and be a champion while also being a victim at the same time. Like, no, you need to pick a struggle. Like, pick one. But, Genesis is going to Genesis. So, yeah. After that triple threat match, which was really good, we had a backstage segment involving Miami Sweet Heat and the fabulous Lana Star. And of course, they called their upcoming match very interesting. Laurie said, I don't know whether to scream or get a party hat and dance in the ring, in this match. And Lindsay said, if Chantilly's wrestling moves are anything like her dance moves, this will be easy money. And then Lana said, yeah, like who does, and she was throwing shade at Holidead's makeup, which I felt it was kind of a low blow because I mean, hello, like stop it. And she said, who does your makeup, Holiday? Marilyn Manson? And I was just like, why are we mentioning Marilyn Manson in this type of show? But okay. And then Lindsay said, we're gonna bust out the only move that matters, which is the Fab Jab. And, this is them saying that they're just going to beat everyone in their tag team match. So this feeds into match number 3, which is, of course, the Carlson twins versus Holidead and Chantilly Chella, who have formed basically like a new tag team with Foxy Fierce, but not really a tag team, kind of just a group of people who were just defending Holiday when she was going through all of her drama with Siren the Voodoo Doll and Chainsaw. So in the midst of this match happening, David McLean made the announcement that Foxy Fierce's sister, Roxy Fierce, who we saw a few weeks ago interfere on behalf of Foxy, is actually training to become a wrestler in the WoW Training Center. And this made me so excited because I got super hype at that part where her sister jumped in and started fighting. I was like, yes, sis. So the fact that she's actually training and we might see her on TV soon with her sister just blows my mind, and I love it. So yes, bring on Roxy Fierce. So Eddie Furt was the referee for this match, and the match started with Holidead and Laurie Carlson, and there were massive Holidead chants throughout this match, and this made me really happy because Holidead is that girl, and I've told her this multiple times. Um, I love her so much. And Laurie pushed Holidead into the corner, and then Holidead spun Laurie around and then beat her chest and then gave her a Ric Flair like chop, and then Holidead did a side headlock takedown to Laurie and a leg drop to Laurie with a 2 count. And then Chantilly they wound up teaming up and of course utilizing each other for various move sets, and that was really cool. Laurie and Lindsey did of course tag in together and try to utilize their twin magic throughout the match, and they tried to snap Chantilly's arms off, and they were mocking Chantilly's dancing, and it was just like, yo, like y'all are just real rude. Like every time y'all get in the ring, y'all just be real rude to y'all opponents. It's just so bad. They're just mean girls. And then Laurie and Lindsay kept stomping on Chantilly and isolating her from Holidead. But then once Holidead was able to get back into the action, she broke up the count and then, tagged herself in. And then Laurie and Lindsay got knocked out a little bit. And as she gave, after Holiday gave an atomic drop to Lindsay. Laurie broke that count. And then Laurie gave a pump kick to Holiday. And then Chantilly got thrown out of the ring after getting distracted by Lana Star because they got to play dirty. And then Lana hit Holiday in the head with her purse. And Lindsay and Laurie hit the Miami Vice to pin Holiday. And this is where I was very disappointed because for two women who tend to call themselves the best tag team in WoW, they always have to cheat and use Lana. And Lana used a purse to get the upper hand on Holiday and knock her out with it. And they won the match. But then Lana cut a promo afterward and said, well, 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 look at that. The wins just keep coming. And you know what you're looking at? You're looking at greatness and the soon to be 4-time WoW Tag Team Champions. You can count on that. Am I right, ladies? And then Lindsay said, we're racking up wins just like we rack up money. Shut up, you poor people. You know what, David? We're beating the best people in WoW. Who you got for us next? We've got one mission and one mission only, and that's to become the four time, four-time WoW Tag Team Champions. So yeah, that was their promo that they cut after they beat Holidead and Chantilly Chella. So Katrina, right next who is right above my name at this point because we've exchanged personalities like Freaky Friday. How did you feel about the match and the promo after?
I thought the match was good. I didn't like necessarily the beforehand as far as mentioning Holidead's makeup. Everybody know Holidead wears makeup, wears her very specific type of makeup. It's all unnecessary. And I feel like if you want to say bad bees or bosses or whatever, you don't need to even talk about anybody else because you're supposed to be that person. You don't even need to do all that. Okay, so I'm like, ew. Calm that down, girls. That's not nice. It's unnecessary. With that being said, I do think the match was good. The twins do what they do as like they do as a group. I feel like you want them to hopefully do the right thing, then they don't. And so like Lana kind of like I like this team up with Chantilly and Holiday because it's such a different team. I feel like I would have never thought like a year ago that this would be a team together as like a group, as a unit. Like the two of them, two very different personalities, basically doing pretty well considering, and they could have very well won this if it wasn't for Lana. And so, I like this team up, but the twins did get another win. The thing with Lana to say all of that and then use a semi version of how Booker T would say like the 5-time to say all of that as like a 4-time champion, you did all of that Girl, like, are we forgetting like the reason that you guys got these current wins? You guys are not even doing this on your own. So you guys, it makes you kind of have to question. And while I know people can say, well, the win's a win and champions regardless, but yes, if you can't even stand up on that as an actual champion without having to resort to people helping you out, then are you much of a champion? I would say no. Otherwise, it was a good match. But I'm like, girl, like Lana, I have no issue with her, but like, stop. Let's stop these shenanigans. She was talking real crazy, like you know everything was the way it was supposed to be. You know, like you did this, and this is all just fine and dandy. Like, girl, stop.
Yeah, it's frustrating for me because it just felt like only a few weeks ago, they almost won the tag titles back from the Mother Truckers, only to have it ruined by the interference of Penelope and Vicky Lynn. So it's just kind of like, how much more interference are you guys going to deal with in your matches to where are okay with it and you're just letting it happen? And it seems like everything's okay when it's going your way, but even when it's not going your way with the interference, you want to ignore it. And I'm just like, are y'all gonna like hold them accountable for that, or are y'all just gonna just poo poo it off and just, still be in the group because it's beneficial for you? I don't know. And then I also feel with the way that they're winning these matches, when, whether they cheat or not, I still feel like they still shouldn't be in line for these tag titles. It's like, I understand you want to be the four-time Wild Tag Team Champions and break a record. And I am all for a record being broken and all of the above. But I just feel like they should not be inserting themselves back into the tag title picture when they just got knocked out of it, especially when they were partially responsible for themselves getting knocked out of it because their friends who were trying to help them knocked them out of it. No, get to the back of the line. We should be seeing new tag teams challenge the Mother Truckers. Like, we should be seeing more people like Chantilly and like Holidead challenging them, like Roxy and Foxy, or maybe even the Mighty Mites, or maybe even the Dojo Defenders. Get these other women tag teams to challenge them. I would even be okay with Gloria Glitter and Candy Crush challenging them, just to shake things up a bit. Like, it can't just be the Fab Four show. It can't just be Miami Sweet Heat show all the time. Like, give these other girls a chance. It's like they have. It's almost like if they lose a tag team title match, it's like they feel like they should just wrestle two or three matches and then everything is okay and then they'll just slip back into the front of the line. No, ma'am, that's not how it works. You can't skip. That's just like they used to tell us in middle school and in elementary school, middle school, and high school. You can't skip nobody. Get to the back. If you didn't get to the front of the line in time, then get to the back. And that's what they need to do. They need to understand that just because you cute and just because you make all this money don't mean, everything has to go your way. People buy into that notion and then think the world is just supposed to fall at their feet. No, that's how you wind up in jail and locked up like some other people today. But we're not going to get into that because that's not this type of show. So, little shade. Um, I'm sorry. But yeah, that I just really feel like Miami Sweet Heat just needs to chill and just back off. But it's clear they don't know how to do that. So after that, we go into our main event, which was for the WoW World Championship with Santana Garrett going up against Abilene Maverick. And Abilene came out here with Jesse Jones. So basically, this whole picture was just full of WoW OGs. It's like they mention, of course, Abilene Maverick having been at WoW before, Santana being at WoW before. And we know Jesse Jones has been a part of WoW before as well. So this was just a whole WoW OG festival, and I love it. Um, Nigel Zane asked a really important question that we will get the answer to when we get to the next episode. He asked, "Where is Americana?" And we will find out where Americana was. But Santana came out and fought alone, and of course, Abilene came out with her insurance policy. Because yes, that's what I'm calling Jesse at this point. This match was very physical, and for somebody here again, I say this every time Abilene Maverick wrestles. For somebody who is so opportunistic, she is still so very good in the ring. Um, she's really good. Like she's very fierce, she's physical, like she knows how to utilize the bottom half of her body for submissions because she kept doing that to Santana all throughout the match, you know, choking her out even on the ropes and on the mat. Like she's just really good in the ring. So you would think somebody as good as her wouldn't have to stoop so low to all these weird, you know, tactics to keep her title. But, you know, either way, we press on. Santana, of course, fought out of a lot of these things with her acrobatic skills, even executing a handstand out of one of Abilene's leg submissions. Like, it was really amazing stuff. Like, I enjoyed this match. Their back and forth was really good. Um, Santana proved to be a very resilient challenger in this match because for every time Abilene kept trying to knock her down with her fists or club her down in the corner of the ring, she just kept getting up, kept kicking out, just kept fighting, you know, with her spirit and everything. And it was just really great to witness. So you can only imagine my sadness when the match ended with Jesse Jones having the audacity to step inside of the ring, her whole self inside of the ring to distract the referee. And Jesse Jones actually touched Santana and hit her as Santana was trying to submit Abilene Maverick in this submission right here, which is so beautifully executed. And in the midst of this submission going on, Abilene is tapping out, but the referee is distracted by Jesse, and it was just the worst experience ever. Because I'm just like, if the referee saw Abilene tapping out, we would have had a new champion. But Jesse Jones just had to F with the All American girls with her petty self and ruin her opportunity. And it is just the worst. So Santana wound up winning the match via disqualification, but Abilene Maverick is still the Wild World Champion. So as Abilene was celebrating, the Beast decides to run out and run after her. And Abilene, of course, runs away because, you know, she's all bark and no bite. And the Beast yells at her and says, I'm going to get you, Abilene Maverick, and I'm going to break you when I do. That is my title. And that's how that episode of WoW ended. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and the way that it went? And um, Jesse Jones's involvement in this whole mess?
I thought it was a good match. I do not like Abilene. I really don't. But she was using necessary moments, that worked in those moments. With that being said, I thought Santana performed beautifully. And it's unfortunate that she actually got her to tap and like a tap where it was actually like not quick. It was a bit of an extended tap, like extended. And the one damn time of all the nonsense that's been going on since she's been champion, that there was actual legit like time with the tapping, which means it wasn't a quick one, it wasn't like any of that. You know, all of a sudden that's when Jesse decides, and then the referee doesn't. I would like you could have dealt with Jesse after you saw that tap. I feel like I don't understand. And so like the fact that here she goes again, she's still champion because of some nonsense. Again, because of some nonsense. And so to get a win and to get a win in that way where it wasn't for the prize, it wasn't for the prize you were going for, that sucks. I think if the Beast didn't come out, Santana should have kind of done what needed to be done. She might have had to give her a little side street justice. Just saying, a little side, not like legit street justice, but maybe beat her up a little bit, just a little bit. Yeah, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Every time it's always some nonsense with her. I really just I need her to lose that belt. I really do. But again, she does have the Beast still coming for her, and I am patiently waiting. I don't even understand why it's taken this long for them to have the correct proper match anyway. Like, David, you doing everything else. Once again, I'm gonna need you. Maybe put it in the phone calendar. I don't know if you use a wall calendar. I still use one in my house, but I also use my phone calendar. And so whatever calendar you need to do, if you gotta put it in a Google meeting or something, whatever you need to do, figure it out so we can get this matchup again. So the Beast can get her title back the way it was supposed to be and all can convert with the world. How about do that, David? Do that. And stop interviewing everybody else about nonsense right now when she has never lost the title. And the fact that you guys were so like they were so eager to believe the Beast would even need to engage that way. Like she's not like she didn't prove even in the other iteration when she was champion coming into this iteration that clearly she was badass. She only do all that for Abilene. Like get real. The fact that you guys believed it so quickly and now y'all want to be slow on the uptake of making sure she gets a proper rematch. Let's get that together. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, you said a lot, and I don't really know how to follow that because it's just really upsetting because Santana really had her dead to oh, Katrina. Well, okay, there she is. She really had her dead to rights in that whole match, and just her tapping out, just like right there. And Jesse is just so petty. And what's so bad is you're petty after they had this month-long fight with you and Amber O'Neil. Like they both fought you tooth and nail after you stabbed Americana in the back. And you can't even take the L on the chin like a real woman. Like you have to eat at them through the Wild World Champion and not even, campaign really for the title yourself. You just have to keep them from getting it. Like, how petty and how vicious of a person do you have to be to get back at a person in that way because you couldn't beat them otherwise? Like, that sucks. And I feel like that's very, like, chicken-ish low key. Like I just don't like it. It's just like, ma'am, I feel like if you really still have these problems with them, like you actually need to fight them and not just steal opportunities from them. And like I just feel like that's just like thievery at its finest and it's just really gross. It's like what this would have meant for Santana and what this would have meant for Americana and you're just stealing it from them in a backwater way and I just do not like it at all. I hate it. And it's just really frustrating that Abilene feels she has to even go that far in order to even keep her title. Because clearly this match has shown and other matches have shown and proved that she could be a champion all on her own without being dirty, in that way. But that's just her, that's just how she moves. But we'll see how all that works when she has to go up against the beast because she clearly has stated her intentions to challenge for that and we'll get to that in the next episode. So as we move into the next episode from this past weekend, they showed a recap of Santana and Abilene for the world title and how everything went with that before they went into the very first match, which was the freedom match between Coach Campanelli of Top Tier versus Ariel Sky. And Coach Campanelli cut a promo before this match saying, this match was created because Ariel doesn't want to be the water girl anymore. Boo hoo. I told her the only way she's getting out of being top tier's water girl is if she beats me, Coach Campanelli, in a match. David barred top tier from ringside, and it doesn't even matter. I'll beat her all on my own, and she can remain top tier's water girl. You're welcome. And of course, the crowd was booing her because they just don't like her attitude as of late. So the match gets started, and something funny happens while Ariel Sky is making her entrance. She comes out with the bottle, with the water bucket and the bottles in the bucket, and she's drinking it herself and keeping her thirst quenched, which I thought was just really cute and funny because I'm just like, you're supposed to be giving these other people water, but yet you're drinking all the water out the bottle. Like it was funny to me. Plus, that wild bottle just looked kind of cute, but we'll move on. Um, the bell rang, and then Coach Campanelli slipped up under the ring rope and was running away from Ariel Sky. And I'm just like, girl, how you gonna talk all that mess but then run away from her? But it was all a ploy to choke Ariel Sky out and just continue to attack her. But Ariel actually wound up fighting out of her first attack and locking in a crucifix pin attempt for a 2 count. And then, of course, Coach Campanelli hit a forward flip elbow. Well, no, Coach looked a little bit shook up as Ariel Sky started getting in that acrobatic style in on her, and Ariel hit a forward flip elbow to Coach Campanelli. Um, Then Coach proceeded to attack her by choking her up against the ropes again and hitting an elbow drop to her back. And then she tossed Ariel Sky's head into the turnbuckles. And this started to get a little bit scary because I thought maybe Ariel might be a little bit shook up and injured a bit, like she was before in her previous match where she had to stop fighting. And the referee, Ben, was really trying to check on her to see if she's okay and if she could continue. So she went back out and kept fighting. And she went out to recollect herself after, like before that point. And as she kept fighting, she was um, just kicking out of a lot of the maneuvers that Coach Campanelli was putting on her. Ariel found the water bottle in a very clever way. It wound up, not working out for her. She found the water bottle and squirted the water in Coach's face and covered her for the 1, 2, 3. So Ariel Sky got the victory and she is now free of top tier. But she didn't get to celebrate the victory that long because Gloria Glitter and Crush came out to jump her along with Coach Campanelli. And in a very surprising twist of events, the WoW Tag Team Champions, the Mother Truckers, came out and helped Ariel Sky. And this freaked me out because I'm just like, where's Pep Riley and where's Sasha Sparks? Nowhere to be seen to help their friend Ariel Sky. So I guess that's over with, I guess. But Holly cut probably one of the best and funniest promos I've ever heard on this show towards top tier. And I really feel like I have to go to a really deep place in my soul. And Katrina probably knows what it is to even read this promo. Holly said, "You listen here, you sweat pack. I'm far enough away from you to know that you smell like musty gloves, you smell like dirty gym socks, and you smell like a unitard. Y'all been picking on my girl Ariel for far too long. But guess what? You met your match, honey, because I'm a bully's bully." And and she said, "And I got a big rig to back me up." And then Betty said, "Let me tell y'all something real quick. Y'all think y'all want to come here and beat up on these girls because they're weaker than you?" And she said, "Weaker than you," in quotes. "Let me tell you something. Ariel's got more heart than the three of you put together." And then Holly said, "You know what else she's got? She's got two words for you." And Ariel said, "Honk, honk, mother flippers." And this is where I got scared because I was like, bro, I thought she was going to say mother effers. I got so scared. I was like, hold on. This is a family show. This would have had me so weak if she just came out and actually cussed like that. But she didn't. She said mother flippers. So we're good. We're good. And then Holly said, "Oh, wait, wait, wait. She's got two more words for you that you'll never hear. Tag champs." And that was just really good. I just enjoyed seeing Holly just go off on them and tell them all the things that they smell like. And just hearing the word y'all in like all of all of their sentences just did something for me as a Southern woman. But it was just really great to see them come to her defense in that way. It was cool. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this match and Ariel Sky being free of top tier and the Mother Truckers coming to Ariel's defense?
I thought it was a good match. Coach Caponelli, it's weird because I feel like now that she's with top tier, she moves a bit more cowardly, and it's a very weird, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like before she might have talked a lot of like smack or whatever, but she usually kind of backed up what she was saying for the most part. Now it's like she says all these things, but then she does really like cowardly type tactics, and I'm like, if you're top tier, wouldn't that not be what you would be doing if you're supposed to be like a top tier team? You're supposed to be that level. Why are you like engaging in that kind of stuff? And while I know they're heels and people may say, but that's what heels do, I just feel like it's completely the opposite of what a top tier team would be doing. With that being said, I think I'm glad Ariel used her, just was smart about this. She got a very quick pen, and while I don't normally like roll up pens, I say this all the time. I hate roll ups. I do like that she was able to kind of get some freedom. Part of the freedom though is on her. This is partially on her because you were the one who even asked to be part of this in the first place. I don't know why it had taken you weeks to realize that this wasn't it. I'm not sure why it took you that long, but you should have never went back to it. As soon as she threw the team under the bus, you should have knew where you stood with her right then and there. And so, but fine, you got yourself out of the situation you put yourself in. And so good stuff for her in that regard. As far as the mother truckers, I mean, it's cool that they kind of hopped in on there. I don't know if that means it's going to be some kind of feud because while it seems like Coach Campanelli is kind of the leader of this group as well, would this cause an issue now with with Crush and Gloria? With the mother truckers, now that you're kind of putting yourself in a situation that can easily set their sights on you, and they wanted to have some gold outside of the trios thing, and it's very possible they can now set their sights on your titles by involving yourselves. And so I like that they did come to her defense. It's also like I don't know, now you might have put them in, you put yourselves in their sights now that you did this.
Yeah, they might have. And here again, this is something to what I was just speaking about, in the idea that, a new tag team could challenge them. And if Crush and Gloria Glitter, really want to back up those words and back up, that, buck energy that they had towards Ariel Scott, then maybe they would get in the face of the mother truckers, even because they were being bullies. And if they wanted to fight the bullies bully, like Holly said that she was, then maybe they should challenge them for the title. I mean, at least it would be something new other than the Carlson twins always trying to, shoehorn their way into the title picture all the time. So I would be good for that if that's the case. But honestly, I just really love that, the mother truckers came to Ariel's defense, even though you are right in the sense that Ariel put herself in that situation. It's like we've been saying over the past few weeks. Like, why would you go back to someone who treated you so bad, who benched you, first of all, didn't value you enough to let you fight in the trios tournament finals, and then embarrassed you after you won and basically just beat up on you like that? I understand that you two had a bond, but clearly Coach Campanelli didn't value that bond enough, to embarrass you the way that she did. So why would you just run back to her so she could further show you how much she doesn't want you? So, you're right. Ariel did put herself in that situation. But at least she was woman herself to understand that it wasn't working for her and tell coach, "Look, I'm a wrestler and I don't deserve to just be your servant girl or your water girl. So let's fight." And she got herself out of it. So, hey, if you're woman enough and you're grown enough to get yourself in a situation, you got to be woman enough to get yourself out, and that's exactly what she did. Now, the fact that she was woman enough to get herself out and then you have top tier beating up on her afterward, that's trash. That was absolute trash because that was a one-on-one fight. Why y'all got to insert yourselves in it? Like, that was stupid. Like, I hated that. Like, that was just really hateful and gross. So I'm glad that the mother truckers came to her defense because she didn't deserve that. She deserved to bask in her victory, and they deserve to take that loss on the chin. But that's just not how top tier is working. That's not how they work. They just like to be dirty and mean and spiteful. So hopefully we'll see like a six-woman tag at some point between all these women, or even just a tag team, title match between Gloria and Crush and the Mother Truckers. But either way, I loved everything that Holly had to say. Her saying that she was a bully's bully just really took me back. Just took me back to hearing the things that my mom would say whenever certain kids would mess with me on the playground. She'd be like, "Look, I'm not scared of you." Like, my mom would get book. Like, if a boy was trying to mess with me and the boy was like 3 feet taller than her, she'd be like, "Look, I don't care. I will knock you down." Okay. Like, that's the type of stuff that I live for. I just love it when people come to the defense of others. And I've had to do that myself too. So I just felt it. I loved everything that Holly had to say. It's probably one of the best promos I've ever heard. And I just love the Southern flair too. So it was great. So moving away from that, we moved into match number 2, which was between the disciplinarian, of course, coming out with Samantha Smart versus G.I. Jane. You have these two beautiful black women who were once in a team together with IQ Superior, now fighting each other because G.I. Jane is basically trying to find more of her way throughout WoW since she's left them, and trying to prove that she doesn't need Samantha Smart and her undermining and her abusive words to move forward in WoW. And Samantha Smart came out and she has a new ruler because Tiki Chamorro actually broke her other ruler. And she cuts a promo and she says, "Oh, you want to hear me talk again, don't you? I have a secret for you. G.I. Jane may look like an idiot and she may sound like an idiot, but she really is an idiot. JK." Even, well, she didn't say JK. She said, "Just kidding." Well, I can't believe the army even lets her come out here. It's like a kind of a disgrace um to all of America, just like all of you. But fear not, because the disciplinarian's back at WoW, and she's ready to fight anyone. So once you shut your mouths, we will find out if G.I. Jane measures up. And what's so different about this is the fact that G.I. Jane usually makes her entrance wearing that hat, as you see in that picture, but she did not have her hat on. She had the hat off and she ran straight to the ring because Miss Ma'am was ready to fight. And I appreciate that. So the match got started once they rang the bell. And G.I. Jane just went after Samantha, but then, of course, the disciplinarian protected her and got her out of the ring. And Jane proceeded to just attack the disciplinarian, and then she slammed the disciplinarian's head into the turnbuckle and stomped a mud hole in her, Stone Cold Steve Austin style. And that is how you start a match, okay? And everybody was chanting for G.I. Jane. And I was just like, this is why I feel like she could be a rising star if they just let her be in WoW. Like, let her be a rising star. She has everything you could possibly need. She has all the tools, okay? Stop playing. Um, then the GI Jane put the disciplinarian in a headlock, and then they actually exchanged headlocks, and then the disciplinarian executed an arm drag, but then GI Jane did a kip up and then elbowed disciplinarian in the face, and it was just a very physical matchup because, as you can see, both of these women are very imposing. So they even got in each other's faces like they were bulls fighting each other, and I enjoyed watching it. I was just like, yeah, get intense, get in each other's face, yeah, like come on, let's go. They were hitting each other with the best of what they had, back and forth. And of course, G.I. Jane hit the disciplinarian with her patented big boot. And then they were talking trash. Like the disciplinarian was choking G.I. Jane out and talking to David, saying, "Is this your girl? Is this your girl?" Like it was giving Killmonger. Like, "Is this your king?" It was crazy. Um, but just when G.I. Jane was starting to fight back, um, oh my God. G.I. Jane fought back with a series of short arm clotheslines, but then Samantha, as she was climbing up to the top rope to hit her special DDT, Samantha hit G.I. Jane with the yardstick, and then the disciplinarian hit her DDT off of the top rope and won the match. So the disciplinarian won with interference by Samantha Smart. And this broke my heart because I'm just like, dang, it just seems like every time G.I. Jane tries to fight and prove herself, the disciplinarian always, well, not the disciplinarian, but Samantha Smart always gets the upper hand on her with that yardstick. And it makes me feel like G.I. Jane really needs to get a friend, like to even up the odds. Like, I just wish she had another friend that stood for what she stood for. To kind of just get Samantha Smart together and just knock her off her high horse a bit. But it just frustrated me. But Katrina, how did you feel about the performance of G.I. Jane and the disciplinarian, and how Samantha Smart is just trying to, I guess you could say, humble G.I. Jane a bit? But how you feel about it?
I feel both ladies definitely came out with it. Like I've been saying from the very, very beginning. I feel like I say this every time I see disciplinarian on the screen, but I'm so glad we're really starting to see her use her size now. I feel like she started or once they added Classmaster before G.I. Jane like left the group. But I love that she's using her size. I feel like that's such an advantage to have. And so I thought both ladies definitely brought the A game. I thought both of them were definitely very imposing. Both of them were showing things that made them good as like solo, but what they were good at, I guess, when they were together. It's unfortunate though, because I do think that right now the disciplinarian do have, she has class members, but she also do have Samantha Smart, who, always prides herself in thinking she's a bit a step ahead. Like she's smart, she does things that kind of aligns with her team, with her goals. And so, her interfering, I was not surprised by her, being involved in that. I was not surprised by, and it's unfortunate for GI Jane, because she is like, she's kind of standing alone right now. Like she does. I do think she might need somebody to maybe team up with for a little bit, or maybe somebody just to kind of not necessarily even be in a team, but maybe just like she has a friend, like you got a friend in the back that, just kind of got you in situations like this. But I thought it was a good match. It's just unfortunate that Samantha got involved.
Yeah, it makes me wish Sahara Spars was still there on a very like on a deep personal level because we know her. I wish she was still there, but Amber Rodriguez had the great esthetician has retired. But it does make me wish she was still there because they were pretty well aligned with that military mindset. It makes me wish she was still there. But like I am happy that you mentioned G.I. Jane utilizing her size more. And it seems like she's more and more comfortable with it the more we see her wrestle. And it's just so great, to see her, operating in such a great place of progress, like from the first time we saw her till up until now. Like she's amazing. But the fact that she keeps losing with Samantha always getting involved, it's just really, really unfortunate. Like hopefully G.I. Jane will find, somebody to be her friend at this point, to even up the odds because Samantha is just, you know, trying really hard to humble her and make it seem like, oh, well, you're nothing without me and you can't, do all of this stuff without me and you're an idiot and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, first of all, I'm gonna need for you to calm down and stop calling people idiots just because you feel like you're really smart and stuff. Yeah, you're great and everything, and yeah, you have this amazing background where you can be a manager and do all this other stuff with WoW and all of the above, but that doesn't give you the right to call people idiots or call people dumb. And to be in the military, that takes a certain level of skill and a certain level of discipline that a lot of people just don't have. And it takes a level of intelligence as well because you've got to learn things. And G.I. Jane is a drill sergeant. Mind you, I don't know what it takes to be a drill sergeant, but I imagine it has to be a whole lot of different stuff other than just being a soldier. So I'm gonna need for you to stop trying to play her to the left and call her dumb or call her an idiot just because she has all this brawn to her. It takes more than brawn to be a soldier. Okay, it takes more than that to be a soldier. It takes strategy and it takes a whole lot of different other stuff. So I'm just gonna need for her to be quiet and stop making fun of other people's levels of intelligence just because it's not hers. That pisses me off. I just hate it. I just really hate it. So hopefully Samantha Smart can just, be knocked off her high horse a bit, and GI Jane can be the one to do it, and she just needs to find her a friend. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it. But she is definitely evolving into an amazing athlete. So we love G.I. Jane over here, and we love the disciplinarian too. Because those two black women, we love them endlessly. But G.I. Jane, we're gonna need you to fight the good fight, sis, and just get out of that situation. So, moving on to match number 3, we have Goldie Collins versus Pep Riley. And interesting enough, they announced Goldie Collins as one half of Animal Instinct with Katarina Jinx and Pep Riley as formerly of Team Spirit. So it really looks like Team Spirit really is no more since Ariel Sky, ran off and now she's no longer with Top Tier. And we haven't seen Sasha Sparks a whole lot since then. I mean, she did lose a match a couple of weeks ago, but we haven't really seen her that much. So it's really looking like Team Spirit might be over. Sad face. Yeah. This match was pretty okay. Both women locked up, and Goldie Collins gave a headlock to Pep Riley and was talking smack to the camera and talking smack to Pep as she had her locked in. Pep Riley reversed it into a pin attempt, and then both women exchanged waist locks with each other. Goldie wound up dropping Pep down into the mat, and then Pep hit an arm sweep to Goldie to trip her up a bit, and then they both traded submissions and unique pinning attempts towards the mid part of the match. Then Pep actually hit a drop toe hold to Goldie Collins and hit an elbow drop to the back, and she really was trying to fight back a whole lot. But surprisingly, Goldie Collins had her number a bit. She even gave her this really impressive suplex where it Loki it didn't it wasn't like a Northern Lights suplex, but it looked like something similar to it. Goldie Collins is somebody else who is definitely improving on their game in the ring as well. Goldie was being very vicious with Pep and kneeing her abdomen and just destroying her. And then she even hit a backbreaker, as you can see in that picture. And she wound up winning the match with a corkscrew DDT. And I was just like, Goldie, girl, who you been working with to hit a move like this? And you've only been wrestling for so long. Like, this is amazing. Like, a corkscrew DDT? Excuse me? She popped off with that. So Goldie Collins wound up winning the match, and she cut a promo afterward. And she said, "It's great to see me tonight, isn't it?" Because of course she's arrogant. You see, Pep Riley has had a rough night. I mean, but I can't blame her. Her coach recently abandoned her. That's tough. Well, Pep, it looks like. Wait, hold on. She said, "Well, Pep, it looks like it could have been for the best. You see, if you or anyone else on the roster want to work with a certified gold standard trainer, well, you know where to find me. I'm Goldie Collins, and I'm the best in show." So her confidence is definitely up after winning that match against Pep. The fact that she would even offer to train any women on the roster is just really funny to me because I'm like, ma'am, you're a dog trainer, you're not a human trainer, so maybe chill out with that. But she really did have Pep's number in this match. She was very dominant. So Goldie Collins with the win. So, Kat, how did you feel about this match?
I thought it was a good match. I do think that the more we see Pep Riley, she's getting like better. I think she's getting more confident in what she does outside of like her athletic background. With Goldie, and yes, Goldie is quite. I think I said the first time we saw her that the kind of the arrogance to have that level of arrogance when you never wrestled before was wild to me. However, I can definitely admit she has been working towards getting better, and you can kind of see it every time she wrestles. She adds something different, and she adds one more new thing that it's like, okay, well, I mean, I still think you're a bit arrogant and a bit egotistical, and I don't know if I like that necessarily, but I do appreciate somebody who's deciding to get better. She definitely has been really like working. I'm like, okay, like like I don't like ego, but I definitely can appreciate that you're actually like working. And I do feel like she always adds something new, you know, to her repertoire every time she has a different match, something different, something added, something that she kind of. And part of it might be she's showing off a bit, like, see what I'm doing. You maybe to people like who was like, girl, like, calm that down. She's kind of showing that off a bit, like, yeah, this look, I'm learning this, I'm doing this, and I think it's fantastic, honestly, like just how much more fluid she's been since the first time we saw her when she made her debut. I think she literally has gotten like miles better. And this is not even shade to when she first got there. It's just you can literally see just how much better, she's gotten. And so I'm like, okay, I can appreciate somebody working to get better. I can admit that, I do like, even like, because I do follow both ladies on Instagram, and I love little cat probably because cat 2 technically, but I do like little cat like references between the both of them, and I'm like, yes, because same vibes. But definitely kudos to Godi. She has definitely absolutely improved from the first time we've seen her, and hopefully with, I don't know how I feel about the promo necessarily, because I'm like, I don't know about, like, that wasn't necessary, but I guess the more promos you do, the more better you get on the mic. And so, do you? I don't know if it was necessarily needed for this match though. But again, I just think she's really gotten so much better. Like, you just can really see it, and I have to applaud that.
Yeah, definitely. Like Miss Ma'am is really finding her way, and it's really great. So big ups to Goldie Collins for her performance in this match, and hopefully Pep can get back on the right side of things and figure life out. And I do enjoy the posts that her and Katarina Jinx make, because they have that different sort of vibe where one's a dog person and the other one's a cat person. It's really funny. I can kind of identify with that because I'm a new dog person, but I'm still a dog person now, and my boyfriend's a cat guy. He's an animal person, period, but he definitely loves cats too. So a part of me is just kind of like, I don't know, but cats are, I'm beginning to warm up a little bit to cats, just a tad, but we have to work because it took years for me to work on becoming a dog person because I was just scared of them for a long time. So, it took a long time for me to get to that point. So maybe it'll take me just a tad bit longer to become a cat person, or maybe a shorter time. I don't know. But it's great to see Goldie, find more of her way into the ring, and maybe more of her personality will show as well because they are definitely letting the girls cut more promos, and I do like that element of it that they're, because when we were first watching it, they were just coming out there and wrestling. And they weren't really talking as much. So to see the production value rise and to see them, on the microphone more is definitely a welcome change. Um, so yeah, we do need to hear women's voices more. So I just think it's great that she's growing, and hopefully Pep will just find her way back after going through such a devastating loss in the form of Team Spirit. So after that match and after that promo, David McLean introduced the Beast and Abilene Maverick to come out and sign the contract for the long anticipated championship match between them both, which will be taking place this weekend. And I am so excited about it because I'm going to need for the Beast to win it all and get it back because Abilene has just been skirting her and fighting everybody else for far too long. They signed the contract, and funny enough, the Beast signed the contract and ripped it because she's so strong. Um, but either way, it still counts. They signed it. It's signed, still delivered, and we're getting that match this weekend. So I'm pumped. And Katrina, how do you feel that we're finally getting this match?
About time. About time. I've been waiting patiently, impatiently, but patiently waiting. And so yes, it is time for a certain somebody to go bye bye. Let's check. Bye bye. I'm waiting patiently, so I'm excited.
I'm excited too, but I'm still apprehensive about it because Abilene is crafty. So what if she finds another weird, crafty way, to still keep the title? I don't think you can get any more crafty than what she did the last time. And then what she did with, Americana and Santana, but she'll find a way. So I don't know. I'm scared. I'm scared. But, we're getting it this weekend and hopefully, it'll be a change. It'll be a welcome change. And then if not, we're just gonna have to book it up and deal with it. But I'm excited too, but I'm scared. Either way, it happens this weekend. So if you're gonna watch the episode, watch it. It's great. So they did do a recap of the fallout between Las Banditas and Sofia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney. And it showed how the Island Dynasty was partially responsible for it because they were fighting them in a match. And in the midst of all of that, Tiki stopped Sophia from trying to interfere, which led to them losing to the Island Dynasty. And Las Banditas, all of them just got to yelling with Tormenta and everything, and then they wound up slapping Sophia Lopez. And Tormenta hated it, so she distanced herself from Las Banditas, period, which basically led to Princess Aussie asking her to be her partner, and now they're a tag team. So now they're about to fight each other. But before we get to that match, we saw some footage that fed into the main event from the last episode of WoW, where Santana Garrett was gonna fight Abilene for the title, and Americana could have been by her side, but Jesse Jones went to Americana's locker room and tied a bandana around the double door handles. Just evil. Just evil for no reason. Evil, 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 evil. So after we saw a bit of that, they gave us another announcement for a couple of matches that and appearances that we will be seeing on this episode of WoW. This weekend, Penelope Pink will be fighting a debuting WoW superhero who we have seen before on NXT. Her name is Sierra Breeze, and I believe her name is either Kaylee or Kylie Capri in the Independents. And she was once upon a time with NXT, but then she got released sadly. But she has definitely been building up her personality online and in the Indies, and she's going to be making her debut on WoW. So I'm really excited to see her have this opportunity on another television show up against Penelope Pink. I'm really excited. And then we will see the Mighty Mites and Keita Rush and the Brat Pack on this episode this weekend too. So it's gonna be cool. I'm excited. So the main event was Princess Aussie and Tormenta versus Las Banditas. And Sofia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, was on commentary, and she made it abundantly clear that she was rooting for Princess Aussie and Tormenta because Tormenta was fighting for the honor of Sofia Lopez because they disrespected her so much. And this match was really amazing because you had Las Banditas and all of their knowledge of the lucha style, and then of course you had Tormenta on the lucha side of things, but then you have someone like Princess Aussie who is well versed in so many different types of wrestling that she was able to rise up to the occasion of fighting alongside Tormenta and against Las Banditas. So this was an amazing match. I enjoyed it very much. There were lots of grappling and pinning combos from Princess Aussie. And of course, Angel Rose and Sylvia Sanchez were being very petty with all kinds of slaps and things. And it was just really a back and forth affair, but it was very spiteful on the part of Las Banditas, who were just angry at Tormenta for leaving them behind. Um, and one impressive part of this match was when Tormenta and Princess Aussie hit an assisted code breaker on Sylvia Sanchez. That was amazing. But after that point, Las Banditas isolated Princess Aussie and were trading tags back and forth and stomping on her and beating up on her to keep her away from Tormenta. And it was just really crazy at a certain point. But then Aussie hit a snap suplex, and Sylvia Sanchez wound up breaking up the count and playing dirty and kept and basically just kept isolating Aussie until she finally got the hot tag to Tormenta. Um, and she hit an airplane spin onto Angel Rose, and then Aussie was able to climb up on the top rope and hit her Aussie splash to win the match. So Princess Aussie and Tormenta, though they are an unlikely tag team, they were able to get the upper hand and fight for the honor of of Sophia Lopez and win the match. And that's how this episode of WoW ended. So, Katrina, how did you feel about this tag team action and how this new team was able to adapt to Las Benditas?
I thought it was a really fantastic match. You have Tormenta, who's, we all know how much Sofia Lopez loved her. She talked about it all the time. This is before she even kind of had Los Banditas, you know, in 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 her fold, I guess, per se. And so the fact that even, we're at Tormenta, and I'm kind of, because I feel like she's more on a nicer side now that she's not fighting for the title. I said that like before when I was like, why is she back in the title picture when she did lose a few times? And I feel like she's kind of moved past that, I guess, more so for the benefit of Sofia Lopez, that maybe this is kind of the more pressing matter, if you will. I thought they did very well, and while Los Banditas, do work well as a unit, I do think they work very well as a team. I think with this regard is just, you have somebody like Princess Aussie who's just fantastic, and then you have somebody like Tormenta who's also like really, really fantastic as well. And so you have two women who have their own types of styles, and they're making it work. And I'm not sure what's going on like background, like when they're talking about it, what they're doing to make sure that much is sync. But I do think they work really well together. I do think they have, like, if they kind of keep, they can really be one of the dominant uh groups in WoW. If they keep this trajectory up, I feel like they can really be a bit of a threat for some of the other teams in the WoW locker room. But it was a fantastic match.
It was very fantastic. And I am glad that Tormenta is sort of turning away and sort of refreshing herself a bit, from always inserting herself in the title picture and stuff. Not to say that she wouldn't belong there, because clearly Miss Ma'am has a resume, that knocks a lot of people, out when it comes to, just her experience. But I'm glad that this is sort of a refreshing view that we've seen Tormenta in. Like, we've seen her be dastardly and dangerous, since this iteration of WoW has started. And in learning about her and stuff. So the idea that she's able to turn a new leaf with Princess Aussie is just really great, because at this point, Princess Aussie really does need someone by her side, because she's just, been trying to find herself since she's lost Crush and since everything happened with them. So I'm glad that this is sort of like a new, fresh coat of paint for the both of them. So I really like that in that regard. And I just love how even with their new tag team, you have Tormenta, who has so much experience with Las Banditas, that I'm more than sure she was able to help Princess Aussie adapt to them and let them know what their strategies are. And that's just a really cool concept to think of, like with them being so different but yet still having ways they can help each other. Like, I like that a lot. Now, I don't know how Las Banditas is going to operate without Sofia Lopez, or if Sofia Lopez is going to be a part of the collective with Princess Aussie and Tormenta. But either way, I am happy for them in winning that match. So that's the end of our double dose episode of Steph and Cat Talk. Wow. Of course, this weekend there's a new episode that's going to air, and it's going to be really cool. You're getting the debut of a new superstar, of a new superhero, and just other matches going on. So it's going to be really cool. So thank you guys so much for watching on all of our live platforms and for continuing to support the show as we share things and talk about our opinions on the show and women's wrestling as a whole. Of course, if you want to watch WoW, you can go on wowie.com and look up where it comes on for you via city name or state name or zip code name, and find the channel where it airs for you on Saturday and Sunday, or you can watch it on YouTube on their channel, which is Wow Superheroes, or you could also watch it on Pluto TV and on Vice Television as well. So yeah, just check it out there and just continue to support women's wrestling as a whole, not just, and I mean, of course, everybody has their preferences of what type of wrestling they want to watch, and we respect that. But, just watch all of women's wrestling and support equality in women's wrestling as a whole, and just support them all, regardless of whether you watch it or not. Because we all want to see women in wrestling thrive. So, Katrina, thank you as always for joining me on this episode, and just tell everybody where they can find and follow you and what you've got going on.
You can follow me on most social media platforms and Cat We Trust. The E is 3 everywhere but Twitch, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Everywhere else, the E is a 3. You can find me on Tuesday nights at bodyslam.net with my 20 twin, Shay, where we cover NXT. And normally, I know it's been really, really crazy the last few weeks. It really has been, and we apologize for how insane everything has been. Where we've been like kind of all over. But normally we are on Wednesdays covering WoW after the Saturday show. I also do have a new show with my other friend Haven, and it's not really wrestling related, but it's more so like opinions, advice type of thing. So you can check that out on my YouTube as well. I do have a new interview coming out as well, finally, where it's done basically. And so just basically keep in tune with my YouTube channel.
Awesome sauce. And I did watch that episode with Haven. That was really cool. And let me just say, I think it's so cool that you guys are friends, because I found her on TikTok. And, hearing her voice, I could tell she was from New York, but just the idea that y'all are friends with each other is just like, whoa, you know her? It was just really cool.
Yeah, I actually met her and Shay literally the same day. We met at a wrestling viewing party some years ago, I think 2017, for the first time we met in person, and I met them both the exact same day. So it's just funny that we all kind of made our way to wrestling content, but at the time none of us did it.
Mm. That's incredible. Yeah. So hopefully at some point, she and I have connected on Facebook. So hopefully at some point she and I will actually meet. I know it's been a while since I've been up to New York, but hopefully I can make it back up there at some point. Traveling is weird. But of course, you can find me, your girl Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. Follow my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter at Hardy Wrestle Pod. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show on YouTube because, like I said, we got to 300 subscribers, but we got to keep growing. So, if you love my content and everything that I do here and there and everywhere else, just support me and support the show because that's the beginning of all of this craziness. Also, read all of my articles on dailyddt.com. My article on Willow Nightingale and Jesus, I almost said in Princess Aussie, Lord, if only. Willow Nightingale versus Mercedes Monet and how it should have main evented, Double or Nothing. That's up there. And I am working on something new, which probably should be out within the next few days. So be on the lookout for that. And also just be on the lookout for me, in commentary and other things. You just never know where you'll find me. So yeah, if you see me posting anything that's old from my older episodes of my show or from other things that I've done, just support it, like it, and all of the above because I'm trying to get somewhere and I'm trying to make some dreams come true. So please, please, please just continue to support your girl as I continue to use my voice for the good of wrestling and wrestling media. Because, yeah, I'm just trying to get somewhere. So, with that in mind, thank you guys so much for watching us on Steph and Cat Talk Wow, the best Wow after show on the planet. And until next time, bye, y'all.